Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rage, and we are back today to go through the next section here now for my Age of X progression, being the Cosmic Villains section. Now, before I do, guys, I just want to give a quick disclaimer here. These are the 5 members that I was able to successfully bring in, being Mortal, in addition to the infamous Ravager Stitcher, plus Shadow King, Thanos Endgame, and Null. Now, the reason I selected these 5 characters, guys, was because I was able to save on bio resources, not having to bring up both Gladiator or Gore, and as well, I also didn't have enough tech resources, so this was nice because Ravager Stitcher does actually save you quite a bit of tech. Now, having said that, guys, this is a very unconventional team. Would I recommend it to everybody? You need a lot of patience and RNG and a bit of luck to get through it. You could definitely bring in maybe a character like Mephisto instead of Mortal. That would give you a better fighting chance. But for myself anyways, I don't have regrets because it saved me a lot of resources. And Ravager Stitcher has always proved to give me a value in the past with Dark Dimension. So without further ado, guys, let me show you now the gameplay. And again, keep in mind, my gameplay is going to be different from yours because I am using a severely disadvantaged team. So I have to be more mindful of making sure my characters don't die for the 3 stars. Let's get to it. So very first node, you won't have any issues whatsoever. I found with this one is it basically waiting for a bombardment of attacks at the very beginning. So you can't really do much, but you're gonna see really shortly here as we continue with the gameplay is that it's pretty much the Null and Shadow King show. So I like to start things off here with Null summoning the fellow Carnage, because as we get enemies down lower in HP, as you can see, Carnage is going to be giving speed and turn meter as well to Null. I do recommend maybe using a Thanos Endgame stun on that Iron Patriot, but as well you can see the big ultimate from Null and as well Shadow King. We can just easily clear up this first node. It shouldn't have any issues, but remember to make sure that you're focusing on some of the damage dealers. For myself, it was that Iron Patriot. The Spire Society team can pack a punch on this node, but as well even some of the Night Stalkers like Oath and Blade, definitely want to be mindful of them. This node does have really good support from Hank Pym because he's able to provide a lot of buffs obviously to the fellow allied herald units, but I would recommend taking down the damage dealers like Pav, Oath before Hank Pym, just because of their, you just want to make sure that you're able to take down whoever can kill you, right? But you can see here the big ultimates from Null and Shadow King completely wipes these waves. The enemies are looking scary, but they're actually quite squishy once you land those big ultimates on them. So MVPs really being those 2. Thanos Endgame, having that passive effect is very useful, as you'll see later on some of the nodes. And then this last wave here, you'll see that we're up a couple North Stars that do spawn here, but again, they don't even really get a turn. We just go ahead and do damage. For me, Ravager, Stitcher, and Mortal are really just kind of like punching bags and fodder, so I just gotta make sure they don't die to get the 3 stars. Second node, not too bad here. The only thing to be mindful of here is the fact that we are up against some synergies of the Starjammers team and as well as Black Knights, so just got to make sure we're being careful there with some of the damage. Now, having said that, again, the Black Knight, they just seem like they're not the full version, right? You can see how easily and how squishy he is. Once you get through him, I definitely would recommend taking down the Havocs, but remember, with Spider Reaver also being in this wave, you got to make sure you burn some attacks first before you waste some abilities potentially. Even though Mortal was more of a punching bag, I do like the fact that he had a bit of crowd controlling aspect, as you can see with the stun and blind. That was nice. There's another Black Knight that does spawn, easily taking him out. And then in this wave with the Quicksilvers, guys, make sure you focus on the Quicksilvers. With them prompting their ultimate when their HP is lower, it could definitely hurt your team, maybe even take out an ally or 2. So that's why definitely focus on the Quicksilvers when you're able to, and then focus on cleaning up the rest of the other allies, because of the fact that they can just have that massive ultimate, which again could do some pretty good damage. And although the Havocs do have some retaliation and damage and whatnot, you can see they don't really hurt us too much, so as long as we're managing the waves, as you can see right there. So business as usual, nodes 1, node 2, not too shabby. Okay, so for this node, there was a bit of RNG in the sense that these Cohoris absolutely hurt. So you really want to focus in the very beginning here to take down at least one of them, so that way they don't persist throughout the match. So you can see here, you have to wait for them to do their attack, but I started things off with Null's ultimate to do some really good damage there, and then I combo that up with the special on Shadow King. When I used his ultimate, it was not actually good because some of the Kohoris got the benefits and the buffs with dodges. So this sequence here seemed to make it more successful that I can actually continue onward. And as you can see, both the Kohoris are now at a pretty significantly weakened state. Thankfully, I do have Mortal with a little bit of, crowd controlling aspects that he can add there. But you can see what happened on that left side with Kohori, where she gained a bit of dodges and buffs, right? And that's what I'm referring to. Getting to this point as well, there's also a lot of dodges to be had. So that's why I didn't prompt to use my Shadow King ultimate either. I wanted to get through at least this initial side of it. And then we finally do get a chance now to activate Null special to summon our Carnage. And it's really, really useful, as you'll see, because we just get additional turns and whatnot, and that scales in the match. The next wave shoots spawn shortly after that, and thankfully now we took care of those two initial Kohori, so that's a really good place. I think stunning Hercules is good because he is a good damage dealer as well, and the Jean Greys aren't really that big of an issue, taking them out of the picture here as well. Now we can actually land once again Mortal. He's actually pretty decent, slow guy, but I mean, his crowd controlling has actually helped through the progression. As you can see, big Shadow King ultimate. I highly recommend saving this for the very end, and this made it so that this node 3 was a lot simpler and easier than it should have been. But again, you got to watch out for those Kohoris because they can absolutely hit, especially once they get their abilities going, and we were thankfully able to mitigate that from the way that we sequenced our attacks and chained them up one after another, so that way they weren't getting benefits off of their passive buffs that they have. So overall, really good. And you can see, once again, very similar to the previous two nodes that we ran, right, is that the importance of Shadow King and Null for these matches. It's hard for me to envision having success with those two characters in this Cosmic Villain section, so I'm really glad I brought them in. But as well, they're carrying some of the weaker characters on my team, like Stitcher, as well as Mortal. Okay, node 4. This one wasn't bad at all, even though it looked really scary with the Black Knights at the very beginning. Because of our passive abilities, we are able to strip away their charges, which works great for us. And again, landing the big ultimate from Null, very important, guys. And we're going to combo that once again with a Shadow King special to the right, focusing in on that Oath, because that synergy with Blade, definitely very scary if you allow them to run rampant. So we're going to use Mortal once again then on that top left corner. I highly recommend actually stunning Captain Sam as we do, because he can provide turn meter to the team. So you definitely want to control that. And to be honest, I probably didn't need to use this stun on Icarus. He's a very statistically dated character, so I just kind of felt nervous about him flipping buffs. But you can see then, following that, there's another spawn wave here with Black Knight, and now we kind of do our Null thing, which is basically summoning now the Carnage, giving us additional turn meter. And once again, focus on Oath, guys. I think she's just more important to take care of than the Blades, just because she can provide energy and additional provided buffs for the respective Night Stalkers team, right? So definitely always focus on her when you're able to. And then finally, guys, we're just wrapping up this last wave here, and Stitcher does have a nice little heal here and there, which scales with HP. But again, Mortal and Stitcher, they're just along for the ride, where the big three on our team is doing work and carrying us to the finish line here. So very easy once you get through that initial cluster of characters, guys, and the Black Knights. And now that puts us in this final position here, being the last wave and node. Okay, so let's talk a little bit of strategy here, guys. This node is going to be the reason that you may or may not have to bring up a different character. Now, for my team, it took perfect luck. You can see here, if Red Goblin is not put into the red HP, you are going to have to reset typically, because he actually has an ability here. As you see right there, my Thanos Engage passive, and then he landed in yellow. So that's why I had to back out and then go back in. You need it so that way when he's red in HP, what's going to happen then is with the assisted attack from the darkness with Null, Rogue actually does kill Red Goblin, which puts us in a really good position there to continue the match. It's also why it took so many resets for myself, because if you don't have tanky characters like Gladiator protecting your team, well, that Red Goblin is going to be using his ultimate to finish off some of the weaker teams. So you can see right there, look at the Red Goblin, red HP, the Rogue finishes him off, and now we don't have to worry about him. But then the second issue is we have to make sure Rogue, now using her special, doesn't target one of the weaker allies on our team, and that also took a bit of time. But you want to start things off with the big Null ultimate, because it actually wiped out one of the Gambits. And remember, Gambit has passive pings that also apply heal block, so that's why it was really important that Null uses a big ultimate with the Raider Isolate to finish that off. And now you can see there, with the assisted attack from Shadow King, we were able to wipe out the second Gambit. Now, in my opinion, starts the second difficult test of this node, which is getting to the finish line here with the rest of your team intact, with a massive Dakin at the very end as well. So you can see here, we still have to get through the rogue, but thankfully, with those gambits taken care of, we had a bit of HP regenerated from Stitcher having the heal. And now at this point, you should be able to use a big Shadow King ultimate, because we haven't had a chance to use that the entire match yet. And that's going to spawn the last and final wave here. And typically, this is the time where you have to take a look at and survey, hey, like, is anybody weak on HP? Do I have to worry about maybe changing an ISO 8 for healer? In this case, we are actually in a really good spot. Even though the rogue is still dealing damage and soaking, we're actually in a great spot. And remember, Thanos endgame has not used his ultimate yet, and this is really important to save it for this end here, because that Dakin was invisible. Now he's exposed because of the ultimate, and boom, just like that, that is actually how you get to the finish line, guys. So I had to reset this 30 to 40 times plus easily, guys, just to get the right RNG, and this is only one shot out of it. So this may look easy, guys, but it took a ton of tries to get the right luck. And again, it's because I brought in this very unorthodox, this very unconventional team, but now it's out there. So now you guys can see that this is in fact something that's possible. It can get the job done. Hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully the gameplay and the walkthrough here was able to help you guys push through with some certain team combinations of your own. Do let me know what you guys think in comments below. Thank you for your time as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.